Also, if you have any books that you love more than anything that changed your life, please tell me about them. I'd love to know. And I just want to say, if you like book content and comforting, friendly, chatty videos, then please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to have you. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the books that I've read this year. I think I've read, I want to say, I've read about 12, I think. But I'm going to save the books I've read in May. I'm going to do a separate video at the end of the month discussing those books. So the ones I'm going to talk about today will be from January to April. I hope that's okay. And most of the books I read were on my Kindle, so I'm just going to mainly be tapping on my Kindle as I talk to you. So this will be more of a chatty video than a trigger video, and I hope that's okay. How cute is my Kindle case? It's from Etsy. It's so nice. Ignore my nails, I need to paint them. Anyway, yeah, I think I have one book, one physical book. Everything else is my Kindle, but I'm trying to read more physical books. So, without further ado, sorry, that was a long intro. I'm going to talk about the first book I read this year, which I have my Goodreads just down here, and it was Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. Now, I don't really like to rate books. I do on Goodreads, but I think there's more to how much I enjoy a book than just out of 5 stars, you know what I mean? I rated it 3 stars. Now, I think I just wanted to be kind. I don't want to be mean because someone wrote the book and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but it was okay. It's about a woman who she is in the house with her 2 children, and someone breaks in. I don't want to give anything away. I'm not going to give spoilers for any of these books, so if you want to read them, go ahead. But yeah, she has to basically get her and her children out of the house, and she lives in like a really old house, a really big house, and the descriptions of the person that breaks in, like, they're huge, and some of the descriptions were terrifying. Like, I put myself in that situation and it's so scary. But for me, like, I was on edge a lot of the time, but there was just big parts where it dragged on quite a lot, and I just felt like there could have been more scary bits. Like, yeah, was really interesting because we get like chapters where they're like in the house hiding, and then we get flashbacks to the events that led to this moment. So, you know, and I just think some of the wording, like the writing, was a bit confusing at times. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it had potential, I think. The next book I read was So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne. Again, it was on my Kindle, and I really love that book. It's about a baby shower, 4 friends at a baby shower, and right at the beginning we know that a fire breaks out, but we don't know why, we don't know who set the fire, and then it cuts to like the morning of the baby shower, and we get chapters from the 4 friends' perspectives throughout the whole day. And one of the friends, obviously it's her baby shower, she's pregnant, and it's her first baby. Then we have another friend who has not long had a baby. I think her son's like 9 months, I want to say, and she's having a hard time with being a mum. Then there's another friend who is single, she's career driven, and she has no interest in children, like she has her own business. And the 4th friend, she struggles with infertility. So there's definitely trigger warnings with this book. So look those up before you read this if you're going to read it. I loved it as someone who, at the time, my son was about, I think my son was about 7 months old, and I was suffering a little bit with postnatal depression, so it really resonated with me, and I could relate to a lot of what, I think her name was Lauren, I think that was the character. I could really relate to a lot of what Lauren was going through, and yeah, it's just a really interesting book. You know, you get all these different perspectives and how, you know, you think everyone around you, their life is perfect and yours isn't for whatever reason, but everyone's got their own problems going on. I really like the writing though. Holly Bourne is a wonderful writer, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know how it would be like reading it someone who hasn't had children, whether you would still enjoy it. Obviously there is a character who hasn't had kids, she doesn't want kids, so there's a character I think that everybody could relate to. But I really liked it. I did rate it 4 stars. It was really enjoyable, I think. But yeah, look at the trigger warnings beforehand, I would. Or next I read Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Now, at the time I rated it 4 stars. But I don't know if I would agree with that now, looking back. I love Alice Feeney. This is her latest release, and now I have to try and remember what happens. So, at the start of the book, we follow husband and wife, and the husband is on the phone to his wife, it was enjoyable. Her writing's just really easy to read, and yeah, I would recommend it. And if you have read it, can you explain the ending to me? Okay, so after that, I decided to read another Hollyborn book, which was The Places I've Cried in Public, which is more of a YA romance, I guess. It's definitely a teen book. It is a romance, but it's actually quite heavy with the themes. Trigger warnings with this one. I think for me it brought up a lot of trauma, to be honest. I wasn't expecting a lot of it, and I struggled to read some of it. For sure, I was like, I thought I was getting some cheesy romance, like teen romance. Now I'm having to relive my past trauma. So, at the time, I did struggle. What did I rate it? I rated it 3 stars just because I found some of it a little bit cheesy, but I think it's wonderful for young people to read because the red flags in this book, oh my goodness, so many red flags for the male love interest. And you know, we start off, when I first started reading it was very like, just like a cheesy girl falling in love with a boy. He sounded like an absolute douche. I did not understand why she was attracted to him. He wore like some kind of fedora, and I was like, girl, what are you playing? Please leave him alone. But so for a while I was just like, this is so dumb, but I'm gonna see where it goes. And it took a turn. I don't want to give too much away, but it's about this girl who she moves to a new town and she goes to college. She makes friends, and this guy shows an interest in her, and like, she has a boyfriend back in her old town. I think they broke up before she moved because it would be too difficult, but I'm pretty sure they were gonna be together when they went to university or something. I can't quite remember. And then this guy at the new college is like showing interest in her, but I hate him. I hate him so much, and I think it's an important book for young people to read. If I'd have read it when I was like 15, maybe I wouldn't have made the same mistakes that I did later in life. So I do think it's great, just not great for me now that I'm older. But for a younger audience, I'd say it's good. But yeah, trigger warnings, because it features like an abusive relationship, so definitely not something that everyone would want to read about. So Now, okay, how do I describe this book? I didn't hate the book. I didn't hate it. I just guessed the twist. I guessed what was going on. And I think this was like the beginning of my bad experience of books where I just kept either guessing what was going on or was really let down by the twist. So brace yourself for that. But again, I love Alice Feeney's writing, I really do. I just saw it coming. I remember thinking really early on who I thought was like behind everything, and I thought, well, it won't be that, and then it was that, and it's really annoying because I read this book really fast. Yeah, I literally read it over a few days, so it kept me hooked. Don't get me wrong, like I was invested in this story. I needed to know what was going on. But I hate it when I see it coming. It just really annoys me. Now I've just got to try and remember what it's about. People keep, like, someone shows up dead, and ex-husband and wife. The husband, he's a cop, and the wife, she's a journalist, and they both, it's his hometown, I believe, and it's her old hometown, and they both are like on the case. Obviously she wants to report on it, and he is, you know, investigating it, and then more people show up dead, and it's one of those where you're like, I don't know who to trust. Like, I feel like everyone's lying to me, that it's like the unreliable narrator, you know, like they're just not telling the truth. They're keeping secrets, which is fun, but yeah, we get like flashbacks to their childhood and stuff like that as well. Yeah, there was just a few things that just I didn't like. I felt like it was a little bit, how do I put it? It was a bit messy and a bit far-fetched, so it wasn't my favourite. But I read it, I kept reading it, I didn't put it down, so thrillers just keep me turning the page, they really do. The next book I read, my goodness, I rated it 5 stars. Now, if you don't like horror, if you don't like gore, don't read this. It's, to be honest, my kind of level of gore. It's not that bad, but for most people, it's gross. So don't read it, but if you like that kind of thing, I really recommend it. It's called Brother. Brother, 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 brother. I loved this book so much. Everything about it was just great. It follows Michael, who's a teenager, and he lives with his family, and his family are crazy. His family are not normal, and they do things to people, to human beings, that is not normal. I don't want to say too much and scare anyone. And he is he's used to this life, he's had this life, this family, obviously his entire life, but he wants more. He feels like there's something else out there for him, and then he meets a girl, and she helps him to hope, you know, for more. Now, there is a character in this, and it's Michael's brother. I cannot remember his name. It was a while ago was so pleased with how this book ended. It was just perfect, and I think it should be a movie, personally, because I could really see it as a movie. Me and my mum read it. I think she read it before me, but I told her about it, and then she read it, and she loved it. So, yeah. I think, Bees ASMR, she talked about it in a book, review video, and that was how I heard of it. But yeah, that was probably that was at the time the best book I'd read in a very long time. Okay, next up, we have The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This was my first experience with Riley Sager. I had never read any of his stuff before. I know lots of people love his writing and eat up everything that he does, but I'd never read anything of his, and I'm pretty sure The Only One Left was like 99p on my Kindle, so I downloaded it, and I loved it. Personally, I thought it was great. There's a lot going on, like some of it's like all over the place, and lots of twists, lots of things revealed. I was just invested. I was completely invested. It follows the story of a girl who she has to go and take care of a woman who lives in a house on a cliff, like a really big old rich person house on the edge of a cliff. She's completely paralyzed and does not speak, and she's going to be her carer, her live-in carer. And when this woman was younger, there was a tragedy with her family, and her mum, dad, and sister were killed. Her mum, dad, and sister were killed, and she was the only survivor. And she has to go and take care of her, which, no thank you. And they were killed in the house, so absolutely not. Absolutely not. You would not see me doing anything like that. I like scary books, but I will not stay in a haunted, scary murder house. No chance. But I really, I felt sad. By the end of it, I just felt sad. But basically it follows the story of this guy who, when he was a kid, he had a sleepover with his best friend, Billy, in his back garden in a tent. And when he woke up in the morning, Billy was gone. And the tent had been slashed open and he'd never been found. So obviously this guy is like plagued by the disappearance of his friend. He blames himself for not remembering that night, and he lives in a really small community where everyone knows everyone, and his parents move away and he goes back to his home, his childhood home, where the disappearance happened, to live. And people from his childhood who he grew up with are now adults, and the adults are now old people, and they all still live there. And yeah, we get flashbacks to the summer when Billy disappeared, and we get stuff from present day. I did enjoy it in a way. It kept me hooked. But there's a place in the book which, how do I describe it? I cannot remember what they call it. But it's like a place where experiments happen. Like, people who believe in like aliens and stuff like that, like they do stuff there. And it's somewhere where they're like not allowed to go. The children aren't allowed to go there. And I just felt like I didn't care. I didn't care about that place, and I just felt like we had too much time spent there. And again, a lot of time with the main character where he was like having these weird dreams and seeing things. And yeah, it just, by the end of the book, I just felt really, really sad. And I won't say why, because obviously if you're going to read it, I don't want to say anything. But I don't think I've ever had a thriller make me feel like so sad by the end. So it was good, but I definitely preferred The Only One Left. Or we can have an actual book trigger now, because the next book I read was a physical book, and it was The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I showed this in a book haul video a little while ago. Now, I rated it 3 stars. I liked it. It was disgusting. It's about a mother and daughter, and they are cannibals. That's it, they're cannibals. And they take in what they call strays, people who knock on their door, who are lost, and they consume them. I was expecting to be similar to Brother. Like, I was expecting I don't know what I was expecting, but it's one of those books where if you annotate books, if you highlight them and stuff like that, and if you look for the deeper meaning behind what you're reading, you would love this. If I studied this for like English, it would be great. I think a lot of it went over my head because it was like metaphors for other things. So themselves. There's so much